It may be week 8 of the 2020 college football season, but this will be the first weekend of action for the Big Ten and Mountain West conferences. That means after many months of speculation and several weeks watching other contenders, we'll finally get our first glimpse of college football playoff hopefuls like Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, and Wisconsin. In fact, the Big Ten is where we'll find one of the 4 head-to-head battles between AP top 25 teams this weekend. That game is number 18 Michigan and number 21 Minnesota. We'll also get an ACC showdown, number 23 NC State and number 14 North Carolina, a Big 12 clash, number 17 Iowa State and number 6 Oklahoma State, and possibly the most important of all, a battle between the 2 remaining undefeated teams in the AAC, number 9 Cincinnati and number 16 SMU. Who wins those 4 marquee games? Are there many major upsets in the offering? And how badly is Clemson going to destroy the next sacrificial lamb on its schedule? Sorry, Syracuse. Hello, friends, and welcome to this very late edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. We do apologize for the late start. Obviously, some I don't know if it was commitments or issues on MF's end, but you know, these things do happen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to go as rapid fire as we can. I'll do my usual thing, and that's all there is to say on that. So. With all that being said, I believe we have 16 on the docket here, so let's try to get through these as quickly as we can. So we started off with action from the Big Ten, fittingly, and it's a Friday night game tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern on the Big Ten Network. The number 14 Wisconsin Badgers, and they will open up against the Fighting Illini of Illinois. Camp Randall Stadium, Madison, Wisconsin, and on the call for that one, it will be Brandon Gaudin, James Laurinaitis, and Rick Pizzo. And Wisconsin opening up as a 19.5-point favorite. So Wisconsin already needed to replace one of the greatest running backs in the history of the game, Jonathan Taylor, its leading receiver, Quintez Cephas, and 2 excellent pass rushing linebackers, Chris Orr and Zach Vaughn. The Badgers now must also adjust to life with a new quarterback following a foot injury suffered by Jack Cohn early this month. There are 2 bits of good news, though. First is that backup quarterback Graham Mertz, highly touted recruit in the 2019 class, one many thought could come in and win the job as a true freshman. Badgers aren't exactly handing the reins to a no-name walk-on here. And the other good news is they opened the season at home against Illinois, which will probably finish in last place in the Big Ten West. Wisconsin wins 27-14, so nothing more to say. Good old MF, Michael Fletcher, come on in. Only fitting we're starting this show tonight with the return of your conference, my man. The Big Ten. It's back tomorrow night. Number 14, Wisconsin, opening up at Camp Randall against one of the 2 doormats of the Big Ten in Illinois.
And this is going to be an easy win for Wisconsin. I think there's going to be a lot of expectation for them this time around. So, yep, Wisconsin for me. Easy call. Florio, let's move on.
Alrighty. And we move on to the Saturday slate of games, high noon. We got five noon games, and we're going to start it off with the number 1 team in all the land, the Clemson Tigers, back at home at Memorial Stadium, Death Valley, Clemson, ACC Network, and they're going to be hosting the Orange of Syracuse. And on the call for that one, come on. On the call for that one, it will be Wes Durham, Roddy Jones, and Lauricia Harris. Clemson opening up. It's the biggest spread we've seen this season so far. 46-point spread for Clemson.
This is too easy. This is too easy. Clemson, nothing more to say. Florio, go.
You ain't just whistling Dixie there, man. No doubt about it. Fresh off a 73-7 shellacking of Georgia Tech, Clemson now gets the blowout, one of the most anemic offenses in the country. Syracuse barely mustered 300 yards of total offense in a home loss to Liberty and is averaging 265 yards a game. Maybe the Orange defense will be able to keep the Tigers from scoring 10 touchdowns. Well, let's not pretend Syracuse is going to put up much more of a fight than GT did. 56-6. It's all Clemson, so there's nothing more to say. Let's move on. The number 5 Ohio State Buckeyes at home at Ohio Stadium, the Horseshoe in Columbus, hosting the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, the All-American girl, Jenny Taft. I don't really have a spread for this one. I would imagine Ohio State has got to be a substantial favorite here. Wouldn't surprise me. So Nebraska, the loudest team in its opposition to the Big Ten's original plan to postpone the season. Cornhuskers were threatening to leave the conference altogether in order to play football this fall. And while the Big Ten would never admit this is a punishment for that defiance, opening the season on the road against the favorite to win the conference is a heavy dose of, here you go. This is what you wanted. Eat up. The Cornhuskers did give the Buckeyes one hell of a run for their money in the horseshoe 2 years ago in a game that ended 36-31. But that was also the year Ohio State had its worst defense in decades. These Buckeyes lost 3 first-round draft picks on defense, Chase Young, Jeff Okudah, and Damon Arnett. But they should be plenty good enough to thrive in that realm again this season. Also, this OSU offense will be lethal. 49-17, Ohio State. No trouble with Nebraska. Nebraska. MF, Ohio State.
Yeah, easy. Ohio State. Florio next game.
And that would be one of the first marquee games of the week. The number 14 North Carolina Tar Heels back at home in Chapel Hill at Kenan Stadium there. They're going to be hosting the number 23 North Carolina State Wolfpack. This game will be over on ESPN. And on the call for that one, it will be Dave Patch, Mike Golick, and Marty Smith. And Carolina opening up as a 14.5-point favorite. MF, North Carolina. What happened against Florida State last week?
Yeah, a big shocking upset. That's what happened. They lost 31-28, and now they're going back home to go up against NC State, who right now currently is 4-1. But hold the phones, folks, because the reason why I would say that is look at the way that they've won. They've won the first game of their season, which was against Wake Forest 45-42, lost to Virginia Tech, who is a decent team, but then beat Pittsburgh by 1, Virginia by 31-28, but Virginia, not so much. Duke, not as great either, and they only won. So they haven't really had any major test yet. I'm going to say this. I'm gonna go with North Carolina. I think they're gonna bounce back and win this game. So give me Carolina. Florio, go.
Yeah, agreed. NC State quarterback Devin Leary suffered a broken left fibula in the third quarter of the Wolfpack's win over Duke last week. With Leary unavailable, it's unlikely the Wolfpack will have the offensive firepower to hang with the North Carolina squad, averaging north of 35 points and 500 yards a game. Tar Heels looked terrible in the first half of their loss to Florida State. But the valiant comeback effort in the final 20 minutes was a vivid reminder of how potent they can be when things are clicking. 37-17, North Carolina over NC State. I agree with you, MF. So there's nothing more to say. Let's move on. How about this? I can't remember the last time this team was in the polls. It's been a minute. The number 20, Kansas State Wildcats. Yes, Kansas State. They are back in the top 25. And they will be hosting the Kansas Jayhawks at Bill Snyder Family Stadium in Manhattan, Kansas. Battle of Kansas. And this one will be over on FS1 with Eric Collins, and it's Eric Collins and Ben Lieber. And Kansas State opening up as a 20-point favorite against Kansas. So this isn't groundbreaking news, but Kansas is terrible. And I'm talking worse than we all realized in that opening loss to Coastal Carolina, who we're going to get into in just a few minutes, in just a moment here. In their last 2 games, the Jayhawks averaged 175 yards of total offense while allowing 568.5. Kansas State's offense has been outgained by at least 50 yards in all 4 games this season, but the Wildcats should snap that streak in emphatic fashion while extending their 11-game winning streak in this rivalry. K-State rolls 43-10 all over Kansas. So, MF, when was the last time K-State was in the polls? It's been a minute.
It's been a long time. It's been a while. So no, I'm gonna go with K-State as well. I think they're gonna get the win here. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Are you ready to welcome another surprise darling into the rankings, MF?
Yes, let's do.
The number 25 Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina. And they are going to be hosting the Eagles of Georgia Southern. And this game will be found on ESPN University. Um, by the way, if you're wondering where Coastal Carolina plays, they play at Brooks Stadium. It's Brooks Stadium in Conway, South Carolina. I think that's the first time in all the years we've done this show we've ever called out this stadium before.
Yep.
But that's where it's going to be. It's going to be on ESPN University. Courtney Lyle and Renee Ngalia, they will be on the call. And Coastal Carolina opening up as a 6.5 point favorite. And that Coastal Carolina, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Don't really know much about the team. Don't really know much about the body of work. But I gotta say, I don't have any problems with it. I'm pretty much favor of Coastal Carolina. I think they'll get the job done. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Well, I'll do my best to help here, MF. I got a little bit of some notes here. Playing in its first ever game as a ranked team, first time ever in the polls. Congrats, guys. Playing in their first ever game as a ranked team, Coastal Carolina deserves better than getting lost in the early Saturday afternoon shuffle against the Georgia Southern squad that has beaten a ranked opponent in each of the past 2 Octobers. In both years, that win came over Appalachian State. It should be a rule that any time a Sunbelt team jumps into the AP poll, its next game must be played on either a Thursday or Friday night, but I digress. Brutal matchup for Coastal Carolina. Georgia Southern's triple option offense is averaging 281 rushing yards a game, while its defense has yet to allow even 150 rushing yards in a single game. Eagles almost won at Louisiana in late September, and they very well may win at Coastal Carolina. But I'm not going to pick against the Chanticleers, though. Grayson McCall has been great at quarterback, leading an offense that has been turnover-free in 3 of its 4 games played. If they can continue to avoid those back-breaking mistakes, they'll keep the undefeated quest going for at least one more week. 27-23, I'm going with Coastal Carolina to beat Georgia Southern. So nothing more to say. I believe that takes care of the high noon games. We have a 2:30 kickoff, and we have another surprise entrant into the rankings. The number 22 Thundering Herd of Marshall, and they're going to be hosting the Owls of Florida Atlantic. And this will be played at Joan C. Edwards Stadium in Huntington, West Virginia. That's where Marshall calls home. I don't believe we've called that stadium either. And this, I don't know what the name of this network is, but Sinclair, Sinclair RSNs, F Atlantic, and Chris Hassel and AJ Hawk are going to be on the call for that. And Marshall opening up as a 17-point favorite. Marshall's defense, no joke. Opponents are averaging 9.5 points a game against the Thundering Herd. They've yet to allow 270 passing yards or 100 rushing yards in a single game. And that's never going to be enough offense to be the team that gets to hand the ball off to Brendan Knox 25 times a game. After this, Marshall's remaining games are against Florida International, Middle Tennessee, and Charlotte, who boast a combined record of 2-9. Win this one, and Marshall should go undefeated and would at least be somewhere in the conversation for a New Year's Six bowl. I think I just opened MF's eyes on that because you know how much he loves to talk about that. Considering Florida Atlantic had just 98 passing yards against Charlotte in its only game 3 weeks ago, you've got to like Marshall's chances of winning comfortably. And I do. 35-17, Marshall beats Florida Atlantic. And that Marshall possibly in a New Year's Six bowl?
Yeah, it's possible because of the fact that right now, they are the highest ranked as of now of the non-power five. But then again, let's hold the phones because a lot of the other mid majors are going to start opening up this weekend as well. Not just the Big Ten, but we're also getting some help from some other other non-power five conferences they're getting involved in. So let's hold the phones. It's not over yet, but Marshall right now is in the driver's seat. You need to be within, I believe, the top 15 of the college football playoff ranking to get into the New Year's Six. So, I mean, Marshall's looking good. They got to keep it up, and I do believe they will continue their path towards the New Year's Six, and they'll get a victory this weekend. So, I got them beating Florida Atlantic. Florio, it's yours.
All right, and we're going to move on now to the 3:30 slate of games. And okay, I just wanted to check something here. I just wanted to see if anything was wrong here. You're all right. I guess not. All right. 3:30 games. That's what we're gonna get into next. And almost every time we go into a 3:30 game, we start the 3:30 slate. It's almost always with the SEC on CBS, and that is exactly what we're gonna do here. SEC on CBS, the number 2 Alabama Crimson Tide squaring off against the Tennessee Volunteers, Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. If it's the SEC on CBS, you know who's working it. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, the beautiful Jamie Erdahl. Don't really have a spread, but I
I
think
got a spread.
what is
It's 20. It's 21 points advantage Alabama.
Yeah, I think I saw that somewhere. Yeah, but Alabama, you heard from MF, 21 points. That's a 3-touchdown spread for Alabama. MF, Bama keeps on rolling. Tennessee, though. Man, Tennessee.
Dude.
Losing at home to Kentucky. Listen to this.
40.
They lost at home to Kentucky for the first time. No. This is the first time. It was the first time Tennessee lost at home to Kentucky since 1984. Wow.
Not only that, not only did they lose, they got blown out. It was 34-7. They did not show up to play for that game.
That's why they're out.
And that's why they're out. That's why they're out. And now you're going up against Alabama, who literally, and like we said, first half, tight game, tight window. It was a battle against them in Georgia. Second half, they dropped the hammer on them. And and I called it. I told you it was going to happen. Right. Bama will continue that run again. They will blow out Tennessee. They're going to do it. Yep, it's the next victim mantra. Tennessee will lose. Bama will win. And they will win this by at least 3 or 4 touchdowns. So, if you're a betting guy, do not take the points and go over. The over-under is 66. Go over. Bama wins. Florio, it's yours.
Tennessee's on the fritz. The Volunteers did not commit a single turnover in their first 2.5 games, and then they coughed it up 7 times between the second half against Georgia and the first half against Kentucky. They have been outscored 61-7 since that sloppiness began. And now they have to try to right their ship against the runaway freight train known as Alabama's offense? Yikes. The Crimson Tide have won each of their first 4 games by at least 15 points, and that trend will continue in Knoxville. 48-21, Alabama all over Tennessee. Next victim. So nothing more to say. Let's move on to our next 3:30 game. And this is another one of the marquee matchups here. Well, you can make an argument for this one. The number 3, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, squaring off against the Pittsburgh Panthers. And this is Notre Dame's first road game all year. They were supposed to have one against Wake Forest, but that got pushed back because of COVID. That's now their final game of the season on December 12th. But Notre Dame and Pittsburgh, this game will be over on ABC, Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. And Sean McDonough with Todd Blackledge, Todd McShay, and Molly McGrath. They will be at Heinz Field for Notre Dame and Pittsburgh. Notre Dame opening up as a 9-point favorite. So both Notre Dame and Pittsburgh are holding opponents below 300 total yards a game, and both offenses have been fairly average. Translation, don't expect many fireworks here, but do expect a close game and maybe a substantial upset. Pitt's run defense, with help from 29 sacks, has been particularly dominant, leading the nation at just 1.85 yards allowed to carry. And Notre Dame's pass game has been pretty much non-existent this season, averaging 180 yards and 0.75 touchdowns a game. It wouldn't be a surprise if the Panthers hold the Fighting Irish to fewer than 3 touchdowns. The problem is, it also wouldn't be a surprise if Notre Dame all but shuts out Pittsburgh's offense. The Panthers could pull this off, but they're probably going to need a defensive/special teams touchdown to do it. This is one of the games I'm worried about. Pittsburgh's no slouch. Yes, they've been struggling lately, but the game's in Pittsburgh. You never know what could happen there. But I think Notre Dame will just barely eke this one out in the game that I'm calling the sleeper game of the week. 20-16, Notre Dame barely, and I mean barely, gets by Pittsburgh by the skin of their teeth. So, needless to say, I'm going to be scared during this game on Saturday afternoon, no doubt about it. So, 20-16, Notre Dame wins. MF, we've been waiting for Notre Dame, to finally get somewhat of a test. I think this is the game where they're finally going to get tested, at least before Clemson.
Yeah, this is going to be a major test. This is going to be an interesting game, to say the very least. And yeah, up to this point, yeah. I mean, Notre Dame started out pretty well. Beat it Duke, beat it South Florida easily. Handled Florida State relatively all right. Then they should have blown out Louisville, and Louisville gave them a fight. Like, Louisville should have beaten Notre Dame. Honestly.
You're right.
Honestly. Let's not kid ourselves.
I'm surprised they even won.
Yeah. Because the way they played awful. Like, this was not a great Notre Dame game. This was not a Notre Dame game that you would be proud of. I know how diehard you are. I know how diehard Derek Ferreira is. And both you guys I heard after the game were not happy with Notre Dame. And like you said, with Pittsburgh, they've won 2 games already, but they did lose their last home game, which was, I believe, that was to NC State, and they got upsetted by 1. But NC State is a lot better than expected. Do I think that it could happen? It could. You never know. They did play Miami tough until Miami finally pulled away at the end and won that game. So, I mean, it could go either way. I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I'm not confident. I'll openly admit that. But I do believe the Fighting Irish will get the job done and they'll get a big win here. So, give me Notre Dame to win. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm not confident either, MF. I'm going to be sweating bullets from start to finish. That's all I know. So, unless somehow, some way they find a way to, win comfortably, which I'll be shocked if they do. All right. Now we're going to get into another one of our marquee games of the week. How about this? The number 6 Oklahoma State Cowboys, Boone Pickens Stadium in I forgot the name of the city, but Stillwater. That's it. Stillwater, Oklahoma. Boone Pickens Stadium. They're going to be hosting the number 17 Iowa State Cyclones. Huge game in the Big 12 here. And this game will be over on Fox. And on that call, it will be Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman. Oklahoma State opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. MF, I mean, it's been a long time since Oklahoma State has been this high in the polls. Oklahoma State, number 6. Iowa State, number 17. Who would have thought this would end up being one of the games of the week? Should be a great one in Stillwater between number 17 Iowa State and number 6 Oklahoma State. So, MF, let's get your thoughts on this one.
Well, Anthony, I'm just going to say that this is going to be an interesting matchup. To say the very least, I mean, this is going to be, now that we go into Notre Dame, it's Penn State, I believe. So, no, it's Oklahoma State versus Iowa State. This is going to be an interesting matchup. This is going to be a dogfight. Look, Oklahoma State, undefeated up to this point, and they routed their last opponent, which was Kansas. I know. A lot of people are going to be like, well, who did they really beat? Who did they really play up to this point? They haven't really had any major tests. All right, I'll give you that. And Iowa State beat TCU, beat Oklahoma, beat Texas Tech. Not bad. Very not bad at all. This is the first major test for Oklahoma State. But I do believe that they'll get the job done. I do believe they should win it. High-scoring affair, but Oklahoma State should win it. I think the Cowboys will get this game. Anthony, it's yours.
Oklahoma State was idle in Week 6 and had an unexpected bye this past weekend when Baylor had to postpone that game. But that just means more time for Spencer Sanders' high ankle sprain to heal. The Cowboys quarterback hasn't played since the first quarter against Tulsa on September 19th. but we expect him to be a full participant in this critical game against the Cyclones. Iowa State's defense did a fine job of shutting down Texas Tech in Week 6, but Oklahoma State has had the much better defense thus far this season. The Cyclones' Breece Hall is an excellent running back, but so is Cowboys star Chuba Hubbard. If Sanders looks good throwing deep balls to Tylan Wallace, Oklahoma State could run away with this one and change the negative narrative about the Big 12's college football playoff outlook. 35-23, I'm going with Oklahoma State to beat Iowa State, so really nothing more to say. Now it's Penn State, MF. The number 8 Penn State Nittany Lions, and they're going to be squaring off against the Indiana Hoosiers from their Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana. This will be over on FS1. And on that call, it will be Aaron Goldsmith and Mark Helfrich. And we have Penn State opening up as only a 5-point favorite. I'd have thought it'd been more, but all right. Go ahead and forward this to freezing cold takes for safekeeping. But I am thoroughly unconvinced that Penn State is a top 10 team. The Nittany Lions lost 7 of their 12 leading tacklers from last season, and as many SEC teams have shown in the past 4 weeks, this is a particularly challenging year to replace multiple key defenders. I do trust Penn State's offense enough to get the job done this week, as Indiana also lost a handful of noteworthy contributors from a defense that was nowhere near as good as Penn State's. But this is going to be a relatively high-scoring affair. Penn State escapes 38-31 over Indiana, so nothing more to say. MF, Penn State, Indiana, Big Ten back.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with Penn State as well, but keep a close eye on Indiana. I think Indiana could pull a surprise, but I got Penn State winning, so nothing more to say. Anthony, move on.
Okay. Yep. And we have one more 3:30 game left, and that will be the number 19 Virginia Tech Hokies, and they will be squaring off against the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest, and that game will be held at Truist Field in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and this will be, not really sure what this network is. It's another one of those random networks.
FSN.
Oh, FSN. Okay, the old FSN. Huh. I don't know if anybody even still has that anymore.
I think it's like a regional. That's why.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
But anyways, well, I on my announcer list it says ACC, RSN, ESPN3. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, on my end, that I got FSN.
Okay. But no matter where it is, it'll be Evan Lepler with Brian Jordan and Abby Labar. They will be on the call for that one. And Virginia Tech opening up as a 9-point favorite. So, MF, Virginia Tech, they barely got by BC and Wake Forest, 500 team. How do you see this ACC showdown going?
I think Virginia Tech is going to win. I think they got very lucky. Well, no, it wasn't that they got very lucky. Is that it was like the Alabama game. Started out really good, really hot, looking great. Next thing you know, a little later on, that's when the game turned. So, no, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be Virginia Tech winning. So, I got Va Tech. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, I have Virginia Tech as well. Virginia Tech's run game was already quite good, but the switch to Hendon Hooker at quarterback midway through the Week 6 game against North Carolina has turned the Hokies into a rushing juggernaut. Hooker ran for 164 yards and 3 touchdowns last week against Boston College, leading Va Tech to its 4th consecutive game with at least 260 rushing yards and at least 38 points scored. Take out the game against Campbell, and Wake Forest defense is allowing 224.3 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns a game. The Demon Deacons can score, but not well enough to keep pace in this one. Virginia Tech wins 45-28, so I believe that covers the 3:30 games. And now we go into the prime time games, and we move on to the ABC Saturday night game of the week. And how fitting is it that it's a Big Ten showdown? Oh, we're gonna have some fun with this one. There's no No doubts about this one. It will be uh, number the number 18 Michigan Wolverines squaring off against the number 21 Minnesota Golden Gophers, TCF Bank Stadium in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Michigan opening up as a 3-point favorite. We lost them last week, but they're back this week, and the band is now back together. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Maria Taylor. Maria Taylor back from her NBA commitments. She'll be back with she's back with Chris and Herbie. So MF, it's only fitting. Um, you, it is you who starts this, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's only fitting that you start this off because it's your team, number 18 Michigan, number 21 Minnesota, ABC Saturday night game of the week. How about it?
And for one of the biggest and largest trophies in the rivalry and everything else, the big old mug, that jug. Yo, the Michigan Minnesota jug. This is gonna be a great game. We already know that. This is gonna be an exciting battle. How's this gonna play out? I don't know. I mean, first game out, both teams are gonna be looking to get off the right foot. I've been hearing a lot of great things about Michigan, about that they finally got a quarterback now that is really gonna open it up. So I mean, who knows how this is gonna go? I'm gonna go with Michigan as a slight favorite, like the odds makers has it, only 3 points. So I'm gonna go with Michigan, but I would not be shocked um if Minnesota wins this. So I got Michigan. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
This is easily the most intriguing game of Week 8 because of the sheer amount of unknowns surrounding both of these fringe contenders. Michigan lost its starting quarterback, two of its best receivers, most of its offensive line, and three key linebackers. But Minnesota lost its top receiver, its top rusher, and seven starters on defense. What the Wolverines do have returning is an excellent defensive line, which will immediately challenge a Golden Gophers offensive line with basically the same two deep as last year. Whichever side wins that battle in the trenches will win the game. And I suspect Minnesota's big men will keep quarterback Tanner Morgan clean enough to get the victory. I'm going for the upset, MF. I disagree. I'm actually going to go with Minnesota to win this game. 27-24, Minnesota upsets Michigan. Sorry, man. Gotta tell it like it is. So moving on, we have an 8 o'clock kickoff here. 3 games left. The number 11, Miami Hurricanes, once again at home at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. And they're going to be hosting the Cavaliers of Virginia. And this will be over on the ACC network. And on that call, it will be Dave O'Brien, Tim Hasselbeck, and Katie George. And the U opening up as 12.5-point favorites. So really not much more to say here. Miami got back on the winning track with a 31-19 victory over Pittsburgh last week, but it was not pretty. Granted, the Hurricanes were without star tight end Brevin Jordan with a shoulder injury, but the Panthers were at an even bigger disadvantage, sans starting quarterback Kenny Pickett. The Canes did just enough on defense to force 4 red zone field goals. That said, things should go better this week against a Virginia team that has been held to 23 points or fewer while allowing at least 38 points in each of its last 3 games. The turnover chain, should make multiple appearances against the Cavaliers offense, coughing the ball up 3 times a game. Miami wins. The U wins. MF had to step away for a moment. But I was going to say that I have Miami winning against Virginia by a count of 41-24. So 41-24, I got the U knocking off Virginia. So for MF to come back, let's I guess we could get started on the next matchup, which I'm going to go on the record and consider the next game the sleeper game of the week, because this one has fun written all over it. This one has Shakespearean drama written all over it, as it will be. Give me one moment here. All right. Okay,
Uh,
MF's back in. All right.
yeah,
All
I'm
right.
back.
All right. MF's back in. I have Miami knocking off Virginia 41-24. MF,
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm not gonna waste too much time. I'm gonna go with Miami as well. I think they'll get the job done. So yeah, Florio, nothing more to say. You can go on to the next game, which I believe I lead off anyway.
and a quick question. Do we see the turnover chain in Miami?
Yes,
Of course. Yep. I know how much you love it. I still have nightmares about it from that.
it looks so good this time around. It's beautiful. I love it. I love the chain. The chain always has a makeover every year, and this is like the third iteration of the turnover chain, and it looks unbelievable. It looks so good.
I'm sure it does. And yeah, as a Notre Dame fan, I still have nightmares about that damn thing. Um, that infamous game that I will forever call the Under Siege game.
Yes.
But but that was then. This is
Because,
now.
yeah,
So
because you saw that chain 4 times on that night. Not once, not twice, not
right,
3 times.
but
But I
four.
remember you saw it 4 times that night, and I know you were getting so annoyed by myself and a few of the guys because we were kind of rubbing it in with that turnover chain, and you were probably like, "All right, about the stupid chain, I get it."
Mm, exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into the game that I am personally considering the sleeper game of the week. This is a Tony special right here. Two teams that are doing very well, both unbeaten. We have the number 9 Cincinnati Bearcats squaring off against the number 16 SMU Mustangs from Gerald J. Ford Stadium in University Park, Texas, with a Dallas mailing address, mind you. Um, this game will be over on ESPN2. Beth Mowens, Kirk Morrison, Chris Budden, they have it. And SMU opening up as a 2.5 point offense. I mean, 2.5 point favorite, rather.
Yep.
MF, Cincinnati, SMU. This game could be well significant as to who could come out of the American Conference here.
Absolutely, and not only that, but this also has the makings of a New Year's Six implication because right now Cincinnati, because they are highly ranked, they're in it. If they win, this could possibly cement their spot into the New Year's Six. So without a doubt, this is a big game for them. SMU, this is a big game for them because if they win it, they have a chance to get in there as well. But I'm gonna say it like this: Cincinnati didn't play last week because of the COVID concerns, and their game got postponed. They were supposed to play. They were supposed to play Tulane, and Tulsa, and the game got pushed to later in the year. But they beat in Austin Peay. They beat Army, and Army is no slouch. Army is no slouch. I think Army's going to win the Army Navy game this year. Army, that's their only loss. The only loss that Army suffered was to Cincinnati. So they're no slouches. Then they beat South Florida, but they're a doormat. For SMU, they're undefeated as well, but they did beat Texas Tech. Texas State, not really too much. Northern Texas, easy. Stephen F. Austin, easy. Memphis was a big win. That was a huge one to get a couple of weeks ago. And then they beat Tulane, and Tulane is somewhat of a doormat. So, both teams had good games. Both teams been battle tested. But I'm going to go with Cincinnati because I think the 2-week layoff really helped them because it heals up injuries. I think they're going to be more focused. They're going to be ready to get out there. Anthony, I'm going to go with Cincinnati, and I think it's going to be a real tight game. Very close. You could even say it'll be in that margin of the 3 points. But I do believe Cincinnati will steal this one and get a big win. So, nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Cincinnati did not release numbers, let alone names of COVID-19 positive tests that resulted in the postponement of last week's game against Tulsa. So who knows what the Bearcats will be bringing to the table against SMU if they're even able to play this game. However, we're going to assume that everyone is good to go until we hear otherwise. even with that asterisk, this looks like it could be the best game of the weekend. It's not quite Alabama's offense versus Georgia's defense, but SMU's passing game, 359.2 yards, 2.4 TDs, and 0.4 picks a game. Against Cincinnati's secondary, 171.7 yards, 0.0 touchdowns, 2.3 interceptions a game should be quite the showdown. Is Cincinnati's defense actually that good, or has it merely benefited from opening the season against Austin Peay, Army, and South Florida? Similar question for SMU's offense, which has yet to face a defense allowing fewer than 285 passing yards a game. Both units will be facing their first true test of the year, though I suspect this matchup boils down to whether SMU is able to stifle Cincinnati's rushing attack. In all 4 games against FBS opponents, SMU has allowed at least 189 rushing yards and 24 points. If Cincinnati can manage that, this defense, which has held 29 of its last 31 opponents below 300 passing yards, should be enough for a huge road win. I agree with you, MF. Cincinnati wins this game. I thought for sure you were going to go with SMU for the upset, but no, so I'm surprised here. Cincy wins 30-27. So 1 game left, and it will be, and by the way, that Cincinnati SMU game is slated for a 9 o'clock kickoff, by the way. Final game of the night, a 10:15 kickoff over on ESPN. The number 12 BYU Cougars back at home at Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah, hosting the Bobcats of Texas State. Dave Fleming, Rod Gilmore, Stormy Bonantoni on the call, and BYU opening up as a 28.5-point favorite. Texas State has put up some good fights this season, but the Bobcats are allowing nearly 300 passing yards and more than 30 points a game against opponents that are, for the most part, nowhere near as talented on offense as BYU. Early Heisman candidate Zach Wilson set a new career high with 400 passing yards in last Friday's victory over Houston. Don't be surprised if he re-breaks his personal record this week. BYU rolls 52-13. MF, take it home.
I agree with that. BYU, no problems. I don't think they're gonna have much of a contest here. So Florio, we done. We did it rapid fire, and well, semi rapid fire, but we got it. So Florio, you can sign off for the night.
Yeah, not a bad effort there. So that will put the bow on this edition of College Football Thursday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. We apologize for the late start. Not sure what happened with MF there, but maybe you had commitments or something. I don't know. But nonetheless, we will be back with you tomorrow night at 10:30 for another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF. And we're going to be not only getting into Friday Night SmackDown, but we're also going to be getting into the preview of Hell in a Cell that goes down this weekend. Saturday night, NFL Saturday. Recap Giants Eagles and get into the rest of the slate of the week. Sunday, the Hell in a Cell recap. Monday, Ridiculously Raw. Next Wednesday, Wednesday Night Mayhem. And then, of course, and then this program next week. And next week, provided everything holds up, I mean, we got some goodies. We got some treats coming at you on Halloween. Michigan State and Michigan. Boston College against Clemson. Memphis against Cincinnati. Wisconsin against Nebraska. Texas against Oklahoma State. The game of the week, hands down, Ohio State, Penn State. The ABC Saturday night game of the week next week on Halloween. So it's going to be something else. So that'll do it for this. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, Anthony Florio here, signing off on behalf of my elite panel. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, Michael Bullock, Edie Woodson, and always and forever, FKG 401 Derek Ferreira. You know the routine. Everybody thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, go to Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, keep it watching this late edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday, Week 8 edition, right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.